What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you stopping by for another video where today I want to talk a little bit about what Chris Ballard said a couple of days ago. I hadn't been able to listen to that yet and be able to give some information to you, but I took some notes about some of the things he was saying and things that I thought we may need to know. And the place that I want to start for this is going to be in the secondary, right? We have a video coming out later today talking about more of the secondary. So I want to talk about what Chris Ballard said before that video comes out. And one of the things that he was talking about with the secondary is that he wants to see the secondary compete before deciding to sign anyone. So what it's looking like is that, guys that we're looking at that we may need to sign for the secondary, specifically that free safety spot, we might not be getting them. However, this is a never say never situation. You look at the quote that came out. He said, "We like our young players." I'm not saying we won't do something. We definitely could. But I want to see these young guys get after it. So again, he wants to see what the young guys got. He wants to see, is somebody going to step up and take the reins, right? And that's kind of what he talked about. And not only for the safety position, right? He talked about it with the tight end position also, where he wants somebody to take the reins of the position, right? To be the guy, come out of this training camp, no doubt this is a guy that we're going to roll with. If he doesn't see that, hey, maybe we do make a move. That's definitely possible. Maybe we do see Quandre Diggs get picked up a week or two in training camp. Whatever the case may be, at least for the moment, he's going to stick it out with the young players, wants to see what the young player has. And of those young players in the secondary, one of them being Juju Brents at cornerback, and he had something bothering him in his ankle and had to go get an ankle cleanup, and he did so right after OTAs finished up. So he should be good to go pretty soon. Chris Ballard didn't make it seem like he would miss much time, but went through OTAs, needed an ankle cleanup, missed your whole rookie season. For Juju Brents, I'm honest, I'm more worried about Juju Brents and whether he can stay on the field than I am Anthony Richardson and whether he can stay on the field. Okay, that's where I'm at with this. So we'll see what happens with Juju. Hopefully he can stay on the field for an extended period of time. Okay, now the other quote, or another quote that came out, there are going to be a couple more quotes here, but another one was about Ryan Kelly and whether or not he would be signed. We never did make a video about that on this channel, and that's completely my fault. But what he did say was, quote, "We're really loyal to players who have been good players." So for Ryan Kelly, it'll be really interesting to see what they decide to do. Do they decide to give him the extension? They drafted a couple of guys this year, right? Tanner Bortolini is a guy that could definitely end up filling in for Ryan Kelly. Are they going to want to do that next season? We'll have to see what happens. This is a team that seems like a team that can win now. So will they decide, hey, give him another 1-year contract and see what he can do next year, see what this team can do next year? How much of that are we going to see next year? That's something that we're going to have to look into more at some point to see that. But for all intents and purposes, Ryan Kelly going to be playing out the last year of his contract, just like EJ Speed also playing out the last year of his contract, and then we'll see what happens in the future, and we'll look at that further into the future here on this channel. Okay, but then you look at more secondary talk to happen. He mentions the secondary competition before mentioning any of the others, right? He was asked about the competition and how deep some of these positions are getting. And before he could mention anything, he talks about the secondary competition, talks about Nick Cross and Rodney Thomas, and talks about the battle that they're going to have for the free safety position. Also mentions Trevor Denbo, who, if you have heard me talk about Trevor Denbo, if you've been on this channel, man, I just don't think he's a good football player. I think he has a lot of flaws. And Chris Ballard mentions Denbo as part of the competition, and that scares the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie to you. Don't know why he's part of it. Ronnie Harrison being part of it's one thing. Trevor Denbo being a part of a competition, what do we do? Then go get, if he's actually part of this conversation, go get one of the free safeties on the market. What are we waiting for? Okay, that's how I feel about that. Okay. We've already talked about how there are no limitations on Anthony Richardson, but he just mentioned that he doesn't anticipate any maintenance days for Anthony Richardson. So they're at the end of OTAs. Anthony Richardson had done so much work, they kept him out of that last day of OTAs and didn't let him throw. In this one, they're not anticipating any of that. So he's full go. Starters are more than likely going to be playing in the preseason. From how Chris Ballard made it sound, he basically was asked are the starters going to play in the preseason? He laughed. It sounds like it's a silly idea for him to think that the starters aren't going to play in the preseason. So we'll probably see a lot of these guys in the preseason. How much will it be? I don't know. Maybe a little bit like last year. We saw Anthony Richardson and Josh Downs in the preseason. I know we did some tape on them in their preseason tape. So we'll see what happens this year and just how much they get on the field. And we'll definitely look more into it when they do. And when you're looking at those starters and you look toward the tight end room, Chris Ballard doesn't believe that we have a superstar tight end in the room, but wants to see Jelani stay healthy this season and wants to see him be able to stay on the field. And can he be the guy in the room that separates himself? That's what Chris Ballard wants to see. That's what I want to see. We talked about it yesterday on the stream. Just give us Jelani. See if he can be the guy. We need somebody in that room to step up and be the guy. And one of the things that could help these guys like Jelani be able to stay on the field is what came out about the Colts and their practice and how they're going to be doing their practice throughout training camp. They won't practice for any more than 2 straight days during training camp, and I think that's a great idea. You want to keep your players fresh. You want to give opportunity to be on the field and have those competitions, but the idea is to keep guys fresh and have plenty of time for meetings and decompression, right? This training camp, a lot of especially veteran guys don't really care for training camp. So coming into it this year, I think, hey, whatever you can do to keep your guys fresh, right? 2 days, take a day off, which is kind of what we're seeing, right? They came in on Wednesday and they all got together, then they practiced Friday, and then there's no practice today. No practice for the Colts today, and then Saturday and Sunday practice, no practice Monday, then they get back after it Tuesday. Okay, that's the schedule that I know of so far, but no more than 2 days at a time where they're on the field getting after it. And I'm sure, that day in between, if things are getting tense between offense and defense, in those 2 days, they get a day, take it off again, decompression, right? They can kind of relax, they can hang out together, have some fun together, do some stuff as a team, come back that next day, and they're better for it. Right, so I think that overall, that's the idea that we're looking for coming out of what they're doing with the practices. And then when asked about Jonathan Taylor, this is all he had to say. Quote, Jonathan Taylor will have a big year. That was it. He was asked about Jonathan Taylor. That's what he said. Okay, so he expects him to get a lot of the touches at running back. That's what I am gathering from what he said there, and his body language, the way he went about answering that. I think, we've talked about the competition for the backup running back role, right? Trey Sermon, Evan Hull, what can they do? How will they produce? Sure seems like Jonathan Taylor's about to get 2021 Jonathan Taylor workload, where he's in most of the game, he's getting most of the touches. And hey, if we're getting that out of Jonathan Taylor, right, if we can get, 16, 17, 1,800 yards out of Jonathan Taylor again, let's go, man. Getting that with AR, with the receivers that we have, we're going to be good and we're going to be set. So hopefully we're able to make that happen. Hopefully Jonathan Taylor does come out and have a massive year. That's what we expect. He got the contract for it, right? He's making the money for it. So expect him to be able to come out, have a really big season, just like everybody else, right? And there were more people that had press conferences over the last couple days. I've looked into more of them. I just have to do the press conferences from yesterday. Look over those. I'm going to put all the player press conferences in their own video. I'm going to kind of summarize what these guys are talking about and what can we gather from these guys, what kind of information we gather at the beginning of training camp here. So again, subscribe. Make sure you have notifications on as we continue to pump content out. Again, we're going to talk about the secondary later. I have a video coming out with that. And then tomorrow, we're going to continue talking about breakout players and whatnot. So again, subscribe, have those notifications turned on. I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.